Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Anastasio with AARP New Jersey, and I want to welcome you to another AARP New Jersey Fraud Facebook Live. We are continuing to have important discussions on frauds and scams happening right here in our state. This week is National Tax Security Awareness Week, and we are honored to be joined today by special guests from the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, and the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC. The IRS says that this year there's a heightened need for security as fraudsters seek to use COVID-19 to scam taxpayers and tax preparers. Our guest will remind all of us about the important steps that we can take to protect ourselves and our tax information. I want this to be an interactive discussion today. So if you have a question about frauds and scams for our guests, type it into the comment section and we will do our best to get to it live on the call. We're looking forward to a great conversation. Our first guest today is Rob Glantz, Special Agent for the IRS. Thank you for being here today, Rob.
Thank you for having me, Christina. I appreciate it.
So besides Thanksgiving, there was another big day that just passed, Cyber Monday. This year, Cyber Monday sales hit a record $10.8 billion. With that much money being exchanged online, it seems like an opportunity for scammers to take advantage. What should our viewers be looking out for this week after those big Cyber Monday sales and Cyber Monday online shopping?
Yeah, sure. So, what the listeners and viewers really need to keep in mind is that criminals never take a day off. I think that's important to keep in the back of your mind. They are always looking for the next possible victim in whatever scam they're doing. So when we talk about Cyber Monday, we talk about Black Friday, we talk about all the holiday shopping that's going to be going on now. It's really important for people when they're using their computers, whether it's a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, or their cell phone, make sure you have all the proper security software installed, malware, things like that, and make sure they're always up to date. Turn on those automatic updates and things like that so that you know that you are secure when you're doing all your shopping or anything online for that matter. It's really important.
Absolutely. And so we know Cyber Monday, it's not just Cyber Monday that our viewers should be paying special attention for. With the upcoming holidays, we'll all be doing online shopping, and some maybe even more than usual as we're staying home due to the pandemic. Could you share any additional security tips with us that we might need to be aware of as we come into the holiday season and in honor of National Tax Awareness Week?
Well, yeah, of course, with the holidays right around the corner, not also the holidays right around the corner, we have to keep in mind that the next tax filing season is right around the corner. So we're really getting into that, if you want to call it crunch time, so to speak, where the bad actors, the criminals are going to be out there looking to exploit and get into whatever they can, whether it's to steal your identity, to steal your money, install things onto your computers that you don't even know are there, like keyloggers and stuff like that, where they're basically tracking everything that you do online. So, and again, keeping your software up to date is the most important thing. But again, the other thing you have to do, think about it. We're all at home. A lot of us are working at home now. Our children are at home learning school that way. We're using our Wi-Fi a lot more, and Wi-Fi is really important. You've got to make sure you have passwords on your Wi-Fi systems because, again, that's a key target for a lot of the criminals to try and hack and get into your personal sensitive information. Think about your computer systems and things like that, just like your front door. When you leave the house, you lock the front door because you don't want a criminal coming into your house. Just think of it in that simple way. Lock your computer systems up. And again, it's not just computers. Everyone uses their phones a lot of times too, even to shop. So be careful when you're going to a shopping website. Make sure it's a legitimate site. Make sure it starts HTTPS, and the S is for secure, or you see that lock icon in the screen there, so that you're on a secure site. And when you're entering your credit card information, your home address, and all those things like that, that you now feel comfortable. And I would say as the season goes on and things like that, and these are year-round tips as well, not just for the season, but if you haven't checked your credit report in a while, check your credit report. That's really important to do as well, and things like that. And check your bank and credit card statements often, right? Because when you're doing your shopping and stuff like that, again, if a bad criminal or an actor is out there doing something, you want to know as quick as you can. Wait a second, I didn't charge that $350 at that store. So you can nip it in the bud and quickly contact your credit card company. And the same thing with the banks. If you notice withdrawals that you didn't make or anything like that, contact them as soon as possible to let them know what's going on so it doesn't get any worse.
Those are great tips, Rob. Thank you so much for that information. I want to remind our viewers, if you have a question for our guests from the IRS or FTC, please write your question in the comments section and we will do our best to take your question live. Our next guest today is Glenn Gizzi, Senior Stakeholder Liaison for the IRS. Thank you for being with us today, Glenn. One of the tips we're hearing more and more about from experts is to use multi-factor authentication to protect information. Could you share with our viewers what multi-factor authentication, that's a mouthful, should be using this, why we should be using this for all of our accounts?
Absolutely, Christina. Thank you. And building on what Rob said, this would be the next logical step. Multi-factor authentication is at least a two-step process when signing into an account. Now, originally it came out for tax professionals to use when accessing their tax software, but all taxpayers, which is everybody on this call listening to us today, can use multi-factor authentication. In fact, many of you are already doing it and you might not even realize it. When you access some of your credit cards through your online mobile app, let's say through your phone or through your computer, a lot of times they'll say, okay, we're sending a 6-digit code to your phone. Please put that code in. That's multi-factor authentication, at least a two-step process. Because unfortunately, Christina, as we know, many people out there have very simplistic passwords. In fact, the most common password is password. It needs to be something a little harder. It needs to be something that has at least 8 digits. In fact, the IRS Security Summit, which is a summit set up of multiple partners, is the ones that came up with multi-factor authentication. It used to be called dual factor, and some areas are adding an additional step, making it multi. By doing this, you're making your accounts more secure. You're making it harder for, as Rob said, those bad actors to come in and steal your information. So this is extremely important. In fact, if you have an option to skip multi-factor authentication, you're actually putting yourself at risk. Most companies are going to start mandating multi-factor authentication, and it's just a lot simpler for people to do to make their accounts very secure. There's no additional cost. It's a free way to do this. The IRS does it. Many federal agencies do it. And as I said, Christina, many credit card companies already do this.
Absolutely. And, we were speaking on online shopping before. I'm even noticing more account logins with retailers or doing multi-authentication. It's really becoming, I think, more and more status quo. So, if you're not doing it already, I think you definitely should be.
Correct. And I think the most important thing is not to be afraid of it. A lot of people look at it and say, oh, it's another step. It's something else I have to do. But every step that you take to protect your account, to make sure that someone is not getting into your accounts, is one way to save you a major headache down the road. Because as people who are victims of identity theft can tell you, this is an ongoing process. And just to put it in perspective, identity theft is a multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry. Okay, they have websites designed to tell you on the dark web how to scam somebody, how to get money from them, how to break into their accounts. This is a business, and we have to fight against this business.
Absolutely. So that brings me to my next question, Glenn. This week, National Tax Security Awareness Week, the IRS is warning taxpayers to remain vigilant due to the constantly evolving threats from scams and fraudsters. Especially with the increase in scams due to COVID-19, do you have any tips on how someone can protect themselves from identity theft in addition to what we've already talked about?
Well, one of the things, Christina, is that, it goes back to the old adage. It's too good to be true. If somebody shows up and says, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help you. Well, we really should realize that most times we're not reaching out to people directly. We're not showing up at their doors. We're not calling them on the phone, especially the Internal Revenue Service. The Internal Revenue Service, brings in approximately 98.5% of all the income for the United States. for the government. So a lot of people know that we're very big. So they may just simply believe when somebody contacts them. We had this at the beginning of COVID-19, where people were stopping at people's houses and knocking on the door saying, I'm here from the government. If you give us your information, we'll speed along that economic impact payment. And we didn't do that. We didn't have people out in the field because, first of all, that was dangerous because there's still an ongoing pandemic. Really just be vigilant and, ask questions. Don't just give information out freely. We're not going to call and say, give us your social security number and bank account number. Especially now with the vaccine coming out, people are, we're not going to say, give us this information and we'll get you to the top of the line. That's not going to happen. Just be vigilant. That's the important thing.
Absolutely. And I know another thing I like to mention around the holidays, the IRS won't ask you to pay them in gift cards. Something I know we're seeing more and more about.
Yes, that is correct. In fact, I was recently at Walmart, and I like the fact that Walmart has a sign, electronic billboard, and one of the messages is, if you're here to pay a government bill, ask for a manager, ask questions because it may not be real. And we do not ask anybody to pay in gift cards or iTunes cards or Green Dot vanilla cards, none of that. Okay. We have a system set up. You can mail in a check, or you can go to irs.gov and do direct pay, or use electronic filing tax payment system, EFTPS, and that's it. We don't take gift cards. It'd be nice. You want to give me a gift, but not really. I can't accept.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Glenn. It was great speaking with you. You're such a great partner. Thank you for giving that really, really useful information to our listeners this time of year.
Thank you.
So another reminder for our viewers, if you have a question for our guest today, please type it in the comment section and we will do our best to take your question live. Our final guest this morning is Shamika Walker, Senior Attorney for the FTC's Division of Consumer and Business Education. Shamika, it's not just consumers we know that need to protect themselves from identity theft, but also small business. Can you share how small businesses can guard themselves against identity theft?
Sure. You're absolutely right. Small businesses also need to guard themselves against identity theft because they can fall victim too. And business identity theft happens when criminals steal information to commit tax or credit card fraud, take out loans in the name of a business, maybe even change the business registration information. And so we know that a lot of small businesses are, they keep a lot of sensitive information, like employees' payroll information, tax returns, even credit card information and bank account numbers. And so, businesses need to be mindful to keep that information safe. So companies should know what information that they have and where they're keeping that information, and only keep the information that they absolutely need. And when they keep that information that they need, make sure they dispose of it properly after they don't need it anymore. And of course, I think one of the most important things is to create a plan so that in the event that if something does go wrong, if you have a security incident, you know what to do. And I think, as Glenn mentioned, identity theft is huge. Last year alone, it was only second in reports that were received at the FTC. And I'm sure it's going to be the same thing this year. So cyber criminals target, all companies, of course, but small businesses, they target because they sometimes don't have a large IT department. They might not have a legal department or anyone else to rely on for some kind of tips or advice for what they should do. But there are some cybersecurity basics that small businesses can do to help reduce the likelihood of a cyber attack and therefore guard against business identity theft. So a few things that small businesses can do to help protect themselves against identity theft are protect your files and devices, which means update your software, which has already been mentioned today, secure the files that you have, require passwords for all the devices that your employees use, use multi-factor authentication, and encrypt devices. Also, you want to protect your employer identification number. Monitor your business credit report. We talk a lot about consumer credit reports, but businesses have credit reports as well. Protect your network and make sure security is a part of your business plan. And you can find more information about how to protect your network and how to come up with a plan at our website, ftc.gov/small businesses. I'm sorry, small business. And that website also provides information on how businesses can protect personal information.
Absolutely.
And a quick note that if a business or an employee becomes a victim of identity theft, then please go to the FTC's website, identitytheft.gov. It's our one-stop resource for reporting from and recovering from identity theft.
Absolutely. That's such great information, Shamika. We know that small businesses really took a hit this year. So, any way to protect yourself additionally is a great information to get out there. So I know you mentioned a lot about identity theft, but what types of phishing scams? We know that phishing scams, and we talk about that a lot when you hear about fraud. What types of phishing scams should taxpayers be looking out for? Whether small business or consumer, what should really our taxpayers be looking out for in regards to phishing scams? And maybe if you could touch on what a phishing scam is quickly.
Oh, sure. So, quickly, I'm sure we've all heard about them, but you might get an email that looks like it's from someone that you know, and it asks you to click on a link or give your password or your business bank account information or some kind of personal or sensitive information. And then you do that, and it's not really someone that you know. It's not a business that you've worked with before, and it's a scheme to get your information, and then perhaps steal your money and or use it for identity theft. And at the FTC, we've noticed that phishing scams are getting more sophisticated, and they're looking real, which is why people are falling prey to them. It's easy to spoof company logos or fake email addresses, and it looks like it's someone that you know, but it's really not their email address. And so, companies need to be aware of that. If you click on a link, scammers can install ransomware or any kind of program to take over your network and spread through the entire company. So if you share passwords, scammers will have information to access those accounts as well. So both businesses and taxpayers should look out for messages, whether it comes in the form of a text message or an email that asks you for your social security number, your tax ID, any kind of sensitive information. So, we're in the middle of a pandemic and scammers adapt like everyone else. And so we've been seeing a lot of phishing scams and online scams related to COVID-19. They're sending messages that say they're from the CDC, from the World Health Organization. Over the summer, there was an email circulating saying that they were from the Federal Trade Commission. It was from the Federal Trade Commission, and you could get money from a global empowerment fund from the FTC. And all you needed to do was click on this link and respond with your bank account information. Of course, that was not real. We did not send any kind of email around like that, but it looked like it was from someone at the FTC. And we've also been hearing about phishing scams related to contact tracing. So scammers are calling or texting people and saying they're part of a contact tracing program, and they just need your information, your financial information, your social security number, to help you, help stop the spread of COVID-19. And of course, that's just a scam to get your personal information. And so, but there are things that both individuals and companies can do to prevent or try to prevent, a phishing scam or becoming a victim to a phishing scam. The first thing you should do is make sure you check it out. Do not just click on any link that you receive via email or a text message. If it looks like, a vendor, if you're a business or a person that you know, then look up that website or that phone number to make sure it's the real person or company that's trying to contact you. If you're not sure, pick up the phone. If it's your friend that's calling, don't call the number that's listed in the email or in your text message. Go to your contacts on your own phone and just call the person up. Did you call me? Do you really need this information? I got this email or text message, because that's a sure way to find out if, it takes a little bit longer to go through those steps, but that's definitely a way that you can ensure that the text message or the email is real. And with respect to if you're in the workplace, talk to your employees or your coworkers about it, because you can figure out together if this is something real or fake. And then finally, I would say other ways for businesses to protect from phishing scams, protect employees in the company, is to back up your data, keep your security up to date, let your employees know about phishing scams, train them on how to identify them, and use email authentication technology to help prevent these emails from coming in the first place. But if you do become a victim of any kind of phishing scam, please report it to the FTC at reportfraud@ftc.gov.
Wow, that is such great information, Shamika. I know we always say verify, verify, verify. Do your own independent research. Even when it's the holiday season, when you're looking up a charity, go on and look that up online before you donate. Look up that company that called you before you call back. Always verify that information. And I love the comment you mentioned on find a buddy within either the company or a friend that so you can run these things by. If something looks fishy to you, you can run it by either a coworker or a friend to say, what do you think of this? What our scammers are looking to do is capitalize on the heightened emotional state of today, the climate, and the consumer or the business. So just making sure you're taking a step back, verifying, and checking, dotting all your I's and crossing your T's before you move forward with anything. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Shamika. That was such great information. We are going to welcome back Glenn Gizzi. He has a few more information and tips on ways that the IRS when you can work with them, and resources. So Glenn, I'll give you the floor for a little bit to talk about some of the different topics.
Thank you very much, Christina. And the thing I wanted to talk about was identity protection PIN. Some of you in the audience may already have heard about it. We've had it for a few years. Normally it went to people who are in business and who already have an identity theft problem with the IRS. Their information was stolen and someone was trying to file a fraudulent tax return. We would give them a changing 6-digit number. It would change every year, and they would use that to file their tax returns. Now, in the past, it was only for people who were victims of identity theft. Then we rolled it out to a few different areas voluntarily, and now, starting for January, it will be rolled out nationwide. So taxpayers who want to voluntarily opt into this program to get an identity protection PIN to use to file their tax return on a yearly basis, and as I said, the PIN changes every year in December, what'll happen is they can go online to irs.gov/secure access, and they can try to go through the secure access procedures. Now, naturally, this procedure is going to make sure that this is the taxpayer. So they are going to ask questions. They're going to verify financial data to make sure that it is the person. But once they do that and they pass, they will receive an IP PIN. Now, for those who cannot pass the secure access authentication, there are some alternatives. If they have an income of less than $72,000 and access to a phone, they can go to the irs.gov site, download form 15227. Again, that's form 15227, and mail or fax it to the IRS. And the information is right there on form 15227. Now, for those who cannot fill in the form, but still want to opt into this program, what they will do is contact the IRS and make an appointment to go into their local office, provided that it is open during the pandemic. They can call the appointment line at 844-545-5640. Again, that's 844-545-5640, as it shows on the screen. This is a toll-free number. They will verify their information and then have them go to an IRS office at a certain date and time with 2 forms of picture identification. Since this is an in-person identity verification, they will mail the IP PIN to them within 3 weeks. So there's no reason to wait on this, Christina. For those taxpayers that want to go, the system is basically open now for them to go into it. And again, we've given several options: secure access authentication and form 15227. And if they cannot do either one of those, they can still call and say, I really want this PIN because I want to be secure. Okay, So I think this is a really, really important thing for taxpayers to realize, especially all those in the audience, that we're giving them additional tools in which to protect themselves, and everyone should avail themselves of these tools because it is now a nationwide program. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's fantastic information, especially as we've talked about, security today. So thank you so much for that information, Glenn. I want to welcome all our guests back to the screen. Thank you all. Oh, we're waiting on one more. There we go. Thank you all for today's informative discussion. We are so honored to have you with us today to share tips, best practices, and resources for National Tax Security Week. For our viewers, if you're concerned you've been scammed, you can reach a trained volunteer at AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 877-908-3360. Again, that's 877-908-3360, and it's right there on your screen. If you'd like more information and resources about frauds and scams from AARP New Jersey, please visit aarp.org/NJFightsFraud. Again, that's aarp.org/NJFightsFraud. And finally, if you'd like to sign up for emails from AARP New Jersey about our virtual events, resources, fraud information, and events such as these, you can go to aarp.org/yes, the number 2, email NJ. So that's aarp.org/yes, the number 2, email NJ. We hope that you learned something new today and about how you can stay safe from fraud and scams. Thank you again to our guests. Thank you to all of our viewers, and have a great day.